Hello all. Today we are going to discuss about environmental scanning. Environmental scanning is also known as environmental analysis. Here we are going to talk about business environment scanning. Please remember here environment means business environment. So now let's see what is environment scanning. Environment scanning is actually the study of various components of environment affecting the business. That is, in environment analysis or environment scanning, we carefully study the various factors affecting business, the various factors in the business environment that influence the functioning of the business. We have already learned about the different factors affecting business, that is the internal factors, external factors, and external factors we have micro factors and macro factors. We have learned about these factors, and here in environment scanning or analysis, we study these factors, how these factors change, or how we expect each factor to change in the future. We study these things and will analyze the influence that will be caused by the changes in this, but in each of these factors, and how it will affect the business. And we'll try to understand how we can adapt, that is how the business can adapt to the changes in the environment. That is environment scanning or environment analysis. So in simple words, it is the study of various factors influencing the business. So we can say it is the process by which the organization monitor the relevant environment factors to identify the opportunities and threats that are posed by the environment. So environment analysis helps to identify the opportunities and to plan appropriate actions to utilize these opportunities. Or we can say it helps to identify the threats, or it helps to predict the threats, and so that we can adjust ourselves, or we can develop strategies to turn these threats into an advantageous factor, or we can turn the threat to the firm's advantage. That is how we utilize, or that is the benefit of environmental scanning. So environmental scanning is study of various components of environment affecting business. So by carefully analyzing the environment, the business or the businessmen can utilize the opportunities and handle the threats. So we can say that a business which systematically analyze and diagnose the environment will be more effective when compared to a firm which does not analyze the environment. So, environment analysis helps to identify, understand, and adapt to external issues. External issues means the changes in the environmental factors. It helps to anticipate the consequences of the environmental factors. That is, the environmental analysis helps to predict the consequences of environmental changes and changes in the environmental factors. It also helps to develop well thought out plans and policies. That is, as we said, environmental scanning help us identify what all changes are going to happen in the future, and by understanding these changes in advance, we can plan, we can make plans, and thus we can say that environment analysis is an important step towards corporate planning, or in formulating business policies, in making decisions, because it gives the information for decision making or strategy formulations. That is explained in this diagram. That is the result of environment analysis. is used as an input to decision making and strategy formulation. That is, the result of environment analysis is the information regarding the environmental factors. That is, how the external and internal factors are going to change or how it is now. All these information is being collected through environment analysis, and that information is used for decision making. That is, we know that in decision making we need a lot of information and we need to analyze so many options in order to choose the best option. So for this purpose we need proper information regarding each and everything affecting business. That information we'll get from the environment analysis. So thus we make a decision and we make a strategy. We formulate a strategy, and once the strategy is formulated, it will be implemented. So after the implementation of the strategy, we'll check or we'll analyze further. Is everything working fine? Is there any issues, or is there any change, unexpected change, or is there anything that is going to change in the future? So we'll analyze everything, and the output of that analysis will be again considered for decision making. That is, if we find that there is any change in the environment factor, or maybe our decision is not the action that we have taken according to our decision may not be working fine. So in that case, we'll have to rethink. We'll have to change our decision, or we'll have to make any change in our strategy. So that's a continuous process. So we can say that the environment analysis result, that is the information regarding the environment factors, is used for decision making and strategy formulation, and the strategy that we formulated, we implement that particular strategy, or we take action according to the decisions made, and then we'll analyze whether everything is working fine, and then the result of that analysis is also again used for decision making, further decision makings. So that is how environment analysis helps in strategy formulation and decision making. So next is the objectives of environment scanning. First one, to understand current and probable changes in environment. So as we said, in environmental scanning or environmental analysis, the environmental factors are being observed or monitored. So any change that is happening now, any change in the environment factor that is happening now, as well as any change that is going to happen in the future, is analyzed. We'll try to understand the changes in the environment through environment scanning. So this acts as an input to decision making that we have already explained. That is, the changes in the environment factors is studied, and that information serves as an input for decision making. Then we formulate an appropriate strategy in order to utilize any opportunity that will be developed because of the change in the environment, or maybe any threat may be formed because of the change in the environment. In that case, we'll have to formulate a strategy to help the organization face that particular threat, or help the organization you make that particular threat in its own favor. Okay, that is how we formulate a strategy. Then the next one is to ensure optimum utilization of resource. So resource utilization is the most important aspect for an organization, because it is a key factor, it is a key element that decides the success of an organization. So through this environment scanning, the business can understand the situation and it can utilize its resources in the most productive manner, because it helps, the environment analysis helps the organization in understanding the future or in predicting the future and making plans accordingly, and it can utilize its resources in the optimum manner. Then next points are already explained, that is to identify the threat and the opportunities of environment. It's already explained. Then to identify the strengths and weakness of business. Yes, so when we do environment analysis, it not only helps us find the opportunities and threats that are posed by the external environment, but it also helps us to identify the strengths and weakness that are caused because of the internal factors. Some of the internal factors may be very positive. It helps us increase the productivity, or it will act as a strength for the organization. Whereas some factors may be causing weakness to the organization. So this environment analysis helps to identify strength as well as weakness of the business. Then to foresee the impact of various components of business environment. It helps to predict the impact of various components, various factors of business environment. So these are the objectives of environment scanning. Then next is process of environment scanning or environmental analysis. The process of environment analysis includes various steps like monitoring, then searching and scanning, then forecasting and evaluation and assessment. So these are the 4 steps of environment analysis or environment scanning. So the first step is monitoring. Monitoring to understand the various environmental factors which affect the business, and to identify published or unpublished sources of information which affect the business. So we can say that monitoring is it's a step wherein various sources of relevant information which are related to the environmental factors affecting business are observed. Okay, so monitoring is the first step of environment analysis, and in this step, the analyst will be monitoring the various sources of information. Various sources of information includes newspapers, magazines, journals, government publications, institutional publications, international publications, etc. So all these act as sources of information regarding environmental factors. Next step is searching and scanning. The searching and scanning the required information. So in the previous step, we said that is monitoring, we said we identify the sources of information. But even when the sources of information exist, they may not be readily available. That is, the information may not be readily available. So, searching and scanning is required to manage the timely availability of the required information. So, different organizations have different mechanisms for this. Some organization may have a management information system so that they can systematically gather, process, then store and disseminate information in a very time-effective, cost-effective manner. I mean, cost-effective we cannot say, because MIS, that is Management Information System, is a little bit costly system. But still, when comparing the benefit, that is when comparing the benefit that we get out of the information provided by MIS, we can say that it is worth. So some organization may be using such systems for proper availability of information in a right time. Some other organizations may be using a SPY for understanding their competitor strategies, for getting the secret information about the competitors. These are some of the searching and scanning methods. So the first two steps of environment scanning provide us a picture of what has already happened. That is, what is taking place now or what is happening now, that we understand from these two steps, monitoring and searching and scanning. Now, the third step of environment scanning is forecasting. In forecasting, it actually provides us an estimation of the direction and intensity of change in environment factors. That is, it helps us to understand what is going to happen in the future. What is going to happen to the environmental factors? What change is going to happen to the environmental factors in future? And thus, it helps us in formulating the plans and strategies. So forecasting is actually predicting the future, or it tells us about the future changes in the environmental factors. Then the next step is evaluation and assessment. So till now, all these three steps were giving us information regarding the changes of environmental factors, either the present or the future changes of environmental factors. Now, this fourth step, evaluation and assessment. This step tells us, or it helps us to identify and evaluate how the environmental changes affect our business, so that we can formulate appropriate strategies well in advance. So we can say that the informations and forecasts that we got from the last three steps are assessed and evaluated in this step to understand various environmental changes and its impact on business. Or in other words, we may say that from monitoring, scanning and forecasting, we just get information regarding the current business environment and the future business environment. But in assessment, we identify and evaluate how these changes in the environment will affect our business. And so we formulate appropriate strategies. So that's all about environment scanning or environmental analysis. So in brief, we can say that in monitoring, sources of information are identified. Then in scanning, searching and scanning, the required data and information is collected from the identified sources. In forecasting, changes in future are identified. And in the last step, assessment and evaluation, the effect of these changes on business is assessed. And so we formulate the strategies. So that's all about environmental analysis, or this is the process of environmental analysis. And these are the 4 steps of environmental analysis. For the third step, forecasting, there are so many methods. There are so many methods of forecasting which you might have learned in economics. That is executive opinion method, expert opinion method, then brainstorming, then some statistical methods, then Delphi method. These are some of the important methods of forecasting. This I'm not discussing in this lecture. I hope it is already learned. That is, in economics, you might have learned these topics. So now we'll move on to the next slide, next topic, that is different techniques of analyzing business environment, or different techniques of environmental analysis. In this, the main one, or the most common method of analysis, environmental analysis or scanning, is SWOT. Then we have PEST, Ito, Quest, Porter's 5 Force model, and many other models. These are some of the most important environmental analysis methods or techniques. The first one is SWOT. strength, weakness, opportunities and threats. This I believe you have already learned in marketing. So what is strength? Strength includes the characteristics of a business which give it advantage over its competitors. It is something which is internal to the business. Strengths are internal to the business. Then weakness. Weakness includes characteristics of a business which make it disadvantageous to its competitors. That is something that is negative, which is also internal to the organization. That is, some characteristics or some features of the organization may be disadvantageous to itself. Some features may be advantageous to itself. These are strengths and weaknesses for an organization. This actually I have discussed in your internal environment factors. When we discussed about internal environment factors, I have discussed about this. That is, for example, if an organization is having a very good research and development wing, it will be a strength for that particular organization, because that particular organization will be able to adapt to technological changes in a very fast manner. That acts as a strength for the organization. Whereas if an organization is having unsatisfied employees, it will be disadvantageous to the organization, because if it is having unsatisfied employees, then definitely the productivity will be very low. So it will act as disadvantage to the organization. That is a weakness for the organization. Then opportunities and threats. These are something that is external to the organization. That is, elements in a company's external environment that allow it to formulate and implement strategies to increase its profitability. These are called opportunities. That is, opportunities are posed by the external environment of an organization. Some changes in the external environment may act as positive influence, may have a positive influence on the productivity, on the profitability of the organization. Such factors are called opportunities. Then next is threats. Threats are elements in the external environment that could endanger the integrity and profitability of the business. That is, certain changes in the environment or certain environmental factors may be affecting the business in a negative manner. Such factors, such elements of the environment are called threats. So with the strength, the firm can capture the opportunities posed by the external environment, and maybe because of its weaknesses, it can become a victim to the threat in its environment. That's how strength and weakness, then opportunities and threats affect an organization. So next is pest analysis. Pest analysis, it tells us about the political factors, economic factors, social factors and technological factors. So from the name itself, we can understand that pest is an analysis technique which analyzes the external environment factors, namely political, economic, social and technological factors. Then we have already discussed these factors and its influence in business in our macro environment. When we discuss macro environment, we have discussed about the influence of these factors. So I'm not going into the details. Then next analysis method is PESTEL or PESTLE. It is PESTEL or TLE. Both are the same. This political environment, economic environment, social environment, technological environment, then environment or ecological environment. That is our physical environment. And then legal environment. All these environment factors, macro environment factors, will be analyzed in this particular technique. The next technique is environmental threat and opportunity profile analysis, ETOP. So ETOP, as the name suggests, it analyzes the opportunity and threat posed by the external environment. So it's the process by which organizations monitor their relevant environment to identify opportunities and threats affecting their business for the purpose of taking strategic decisions. So in this method, the environment will be divided into different sectors, and the impact of each sector on the organization will be analyzed. So it gives you a summary of the major factors which are affecting the environment in a positive as well as a negative manner. That is opportunity and threat. Next technique is QEST, Quick Environmental Scanning Technique Analysis. QEST analysis. QEST analysis is designed to assess the organizational strategies to organizational strategists or the executors and planners to keep side by side of changes and its implications for the organizational strategies and plans. That means the environmental scanning or this quest starts with observation. That is, observing the events or observing the changes and the factors. Then, after observation, the important issues that will have an impact on the organization will be considered, and a report will be prepared regarding the issues and their impact, and this report will be provided to the planners or the executors or the strategists of the organization, and they will check the report or they will review this report and use it for their planning. Take the information from these reports and use it for making plans. So that is QEST. It's also similar to the other techniques only. Then the next technique is Porter's 5-force model. This is a model developed by Michael Porter. So in this model or in this particular method of analysis, 5 forces are being discussed, or it tells us about 5 forces that affect business. One is the threat of new entrants, that is the threat posed by new competitors, new companies entering into the market. Then next one is bargaining power of suppliers, that is the suppliers of the raw material. If the demand for the raw material is high and the supply for the raw material is low, or the number of suppliers is low in the market, then definitely our suppliers will have a bargaining power. They will have more bargaining power. We'll be forced to buy their material at a high cost or at the rate that they demand or at the conditions that they put forward. That is the bargaining power of suppliers. Then bargaining power of customers. That is, if the number of products or the product that we are selling, product or service that we are selling is readily available, it is very common in the market, then the demand for the particular product is low and the supply is high, then definitely our customers will have an upper hand. They will be bargaining. So we will have to compromise. Then the competitive rivalry, that is the competitors. Everyone wants to do business where the competition is low, but when the competition is high, what happens is we'll have to lower our profitability, or we'll have to compromise many things. When the profit or when the competition is low, then we'll have a upper hand. Then the threat of substitutes. If our product is having so many substitutes, then again the customers, maybe they can buy our substitutes. They don't have to come for us. So that is a threat of substitutes. So these are the 5 forces that affects a company. All these are external factors. So in Porter's 5-force analysis, all these 5 external factors are analyzed. So we have discussed about some of the most important techniques of environmental analysis. Thus, we have come to the end of this session. We have covered all the topics in Module 1. Thank you.